And I'm now joined by Andrey Kurkov, the author of numerous books, including today's feature for the Velshi Band Book Club, Gray Bees. Andrey is joining me from California, although he's usually right here in Kyiv. Andrey, welcome. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for your writing. And in the introduction, I touched on how you write your books in the Russian language, despite being Ukrainian, despite being born in Russia. I've spoken to many people in this country who speak both. Many Ukrainians, particularly young ones, are choosing now to speak Ukrainian, but depending on where they live, some of them speak Russian. The distinction gets lost in the United States. Tell me a bit about this.
Well, actually, I write also in Ukrainian, and I published a book written in Ukrainian, non-fiction book about history of help to homeless people in the world. But yes, I mean, until before the beginning of this new onslaught, one could say that up to 40% of Ukrainians are Russian speakers. Now probably the number fell down to 23%. I mean, this war, and Putin himself is killing Russian language culture in Ukraine. But still, I mean, there is a minority of Russian language writers and poets, as well as there is a minority of Hungarian language writers and poets and writers who write in Crimean Tatar language. Ukraine is a very rich multicultural country with, of course, domination of Ukrainian language literature. But, I mean, people are equal, and all that is written about Ukraine and Ukraine belongs to Ukrainian national culture.
Let's talk about the book and the bees. At first, the bees dictate Sergei's behavior. He applauds their, quote, communism. He says humans could learn a thing or two from the bees. But then he reprimands them and says, quote, why are you acting like people when they reject an outsider? And clearly, this mirrors Sergei's own inner growth. Tell us a bit more about that.
Well, Sergei is a typical representative of Donbas region, of Donbas mentality. And actually, Ukraine is a huge country with 26 regions, with regions very different, like different countries. So in Western Ukraine, the Transcarpathian mountain region is completely different from the flat steppes of Kherson region or Donbas. And of course, in Donbas, the Soviet nostalgia was still alive until recently and was supported by Russian media. I mean, one of the favorite TV channels in Donbas was Russian TV channel Nostalgia, which still broadcasts Soviet films and Soviet TV comedies and comedy shows. So actually, for Sergei, this is an awakening and first attempt to understand the real life when the war surrounds him, when he finds himself between positions of the separatists and Russian army and Ukrainian army. And he has to take his own decisions because actually in Donbass it was not traditional to take decisions. I mean, Ukrainians are from the nature individualists. The people of Donbass still were collective people like Soviet people for a long time, and probably until today they still are fighting with themselves, trying to become independent, understanding that actually life and survival depends on them personally, on each person personally, not on Putin or on higher forces.
I want to talk about the idea of home that you create in the book. You create such a padded bubble in this so-called gray zone that when it's time to leave, the reader isn't really ready. I want to read an excerpt from your book. Quote, it wasn't his fault that his home was now in the middle of the war. In the middle, yes, but taking no part in it. No one shot at the enemy from his yard, his windows, his fence, which meant his home had no enemies, end quote. Tell me more about this.
Well, hundreds of thousands of homes and apartments had no enemies, but they are destroyed now by Russian artillery, by Russian shelling. And I mean, the cult of house, of home, is very important in Ukraine. Actually, it's almost like a United Kingdom. My home is my fortress. Everybody is caring about the home, about the surrounding, about the garden. So, I mean, it is a sacred thing for every Ukrainian. And therefore, actually, people, even when they find themselves in the middle of the war, they are reluctant to leave the home because they have a choice. They're choosing between two fears: fear to be killed inside his own home, or fear to go and to become a refugee with no home, not knowing who will help them, where they will end up. So, I mean, the concept of home for Ukrainians is it's more than a castle. It's very important.
A few times I've mentioned in the setup to this book the gray zone, the metaphorical gray zone, but it's not metaphorical in your book. There is a physical gray zone, and there's an emotional gray zone. Tell me about this.
Well, the physical gray zone, actually, I started thinking about this only in 2017 when I met a young businessman who fled from Donetsk to Kyiv and opened a small cafe. And he told me that actually he goes to almost to the front line every month in his car, bringing medicine and other supplies to 7 families remained in the village, which has no electricity, no gas, and had no infrastructure, no shops, etc. This was the first time I realized what is gray zone. And then I checked the maps. And I realized more than actually the gray zone in Ukraine was at that time, until 24th of February last year, 430 kilometers long, sometimes 300 meters wide, sometimes several kilometers wide. And there were villages more or less happy with electricity, with some kind of infrastructure still existed in the gray zone for some time. I'm sorry to say I'm in this gray right now. Even this island of so-called relative possibility to survival is destroyed now by Russia, by this war. And if we have the frozen conflict, frozen war, the gray zone will be 2,000 kilometers long, which nobody wants. And I don't envy anybody who actually can find themselves living in this zone.
Andrey, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for your writing, and I hope